All right, everybody, welcome into Fresh Takes, live from the FrankLakes1.com studios. I am Paul Russo. Across from me, as always, the man, the myth, legend himself, Nick Felice. Nick, it's good seeing you.
Yeah.
I know, look, we'll be diving into, obviously, some stuff here because, if you saw the description, it's not often, outside of really football, to be fair, our teams kind of really get in the crosshairs.
Yeah, especially in the playoffs.
But here we are. But we'll dive into that more. But, how you doing?
Yeah, before we start, we start taking each other's heads off about the Heat and the Knicks. But I had lunch with your brother today, Paul, and your brother Pat, and we've dived into this conversation before, and I want to get your thoughts here. Unscripted, I need a hot take out of you.
Oh, boy.
Not really a hot take, but just like a take. We were given because New York City is getting very popular with athletes right now.
Is it?
Aaron Rodgers in town, Brianna Stewart's here. We got, Saquon. We got Justin Verlander, Carlos
Onwuasku.
A lot of these guys haven't even played yet.
Sure.
Actually, all four of those people I just named have not played a single game for New York yet. But
Sure.
who are your top five faces in New York City right now?
Like athletes?
Athletes, coaches, could be James Dolan. Here's what I'll say. I'll give my top five,
Sure.
and then you just give your top five. So right now I have five. I got Jalen Brunson number one.
Okay.
I got Aaron Judge number two.
Okay.
This is today, right now. Aaron Judge was number one. I got him number two right now. He's hurt. Brunson's taking the playoffs. Number three, I got Saquon Barkley. Number four, I have. Who did I have? Number four, I had. What other teams are there? Number four, I had. What other teams are there? New York. Anyway, I can't remember the last two, but
Sure, I can tell.
man, it's the Mets. All right, Pete Alonso 5. But number 4 was Igor Shesterkin was number 4.
Okay.
And then Pete Alonso 5. What is your top 5?
So no particular order for me. Saquon.
Number 1. Oh, no particular.
No particular order because you're putting me on the spot so much that I don't. But Saquon, Aaron Judge. I would probably go Brunson. See, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Julius before Brunson, to be honest with you. Only because he's kind of been there longer at this point, and I feel like he embodies more of the Nick attitude, if you will, than Jalen does in a sense. That kind of flashy yet gritty kind of thing. Not knock on Jalen, but then I would probably go. In all honesty, the Rangers fans got down with Panarin kind of pretty quickly, but I'm with you, though. I think Igor.
Really?
I think you got to go Igor.
Yeah, I mean, he's the...
Because, well, here's the thing, too, with, you gotta remember,
disappointing time right now.
For the longest time, though, it was Heinrich. King Heinrich was the face. I think a lot of people kind of, when Igor kind of got there, it was here we go. I think it kind of helps, too, maybe Heinrich is now also kind of doing the... a lot of the media stuff. I know he's on TNT with those guys.
Shesterkin played well this playoffs.
Right, yeah. No, he definitely did.
The offense let him down.
Yeah. And I'm kind of going to wild card here at with my fifth, I think. Rick Pitino at St. John's, coach.
Yeah.
That's
a great one.
If you're giving me the option to have a coach in there, especially a guy like Rick Pitino.
Yeah, I'm just looking for a top 5 faces.
That's who I'd go with. I would think that's who I go.
Not Cashman.
No. I think honorable mention. I'll go two honorable. Can I do two honorable mentions? Brunson at this point has to at least have an honorable mention, especially if I was tossing him up in there with Randall, and then I would probably in all honesty go Max Scherzer.
So you have Max Scherzer. It's funny because I have
as my honorable mention.
I have Alonso as the face of the Mets. You have Max Scherzer. Your brother had Lindor.
What's that tell you then?
Your brother also had Sauce Gardner and Mikal Bridges in the top 5.
Well, that one is pretty biased at the moment, I would say.
Sauce Gardner. Interesting.
The main issue is Rodgers is there now, and that kind of takes that.
Maybe Jack Hughes.
Pretty quick. Hughes, well,
tough because they're New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't know, but so are the football teams at this point. I don't know.
I would count them.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is the real question. Will he ever fit in the top 5?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. But before we get any further, do have to handle some podcast business of sort. One of our presenting sponsors, Dr. Jeffrey Halstead, has been the Canandaigua hometown dentist for more than 35 years, offering routine dental care as well as cosmetic dentistry, implants, dentures, and by their highly trained staff and experienced staff as well. Visit them online at CanandaiguaDentistry.com or find them on Facebook and Instagram today. And Dewey's Tavern, located within walking distance of downtown Sac Falls, just across the Bridge Street Bridge. Play quick draw lottery, 19 televisions for all your sporting events, great food for lunch or dinner, bocce, darts, and poolies. You can check them out online at Dewey'sThirdWard.com. So, kind of teed it up a little bit already, Nick. We've kind of done a little bit of it already. The NBA playoffs, especially, and the main talking point is going to end up being the Knicks and Heat series.
We're the only show that doesn't start with
right.
Lakers Warriors.
Right, because it helps that we have the perhaps biased viewpoints here of it, but look, and this series I think is kind of bringing back a lot of that feel of kind of this good old fashioned basketball, quote unquote. It's kind of funny because I know first quarter last night in game 2 was I believe 60 combined points. I think it was 31-29 if I remember right. And in the back of my head I'm like, oh, maybe this is the game where there is that offensive explosion, and it kind of didn't really end up quite that way. I know it technically hit the over, but the scoring just didn't keep up with that pace. It really ended up becoming a defensive battle, and kind of, I wouldn't say maybe to the extent we exactly saw game 1. Game 1 wasn't exactly the most offensive-friendly game either in many ways. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. You know, we talked off air. I tweeted it last night. My rivalry and hatred of the Knicks has been renewed. It's been rekindled.
What the heck, man?
Hey, things happen. And, we'll dive into some stuff here. But, look, this is, I think, the series, and it's kind of funny because you mentioned, Lakers Warriors, right? And obviously in the East, the other series in the conference semis right now is Sixers Celtics. And I think the best two series, if you had to pick two of the best, say one in the East, one in the West, have been the ones that I think, especially in the West, it's flying on the radar in a way, has been the Nuggets and Phoenix, even though Phoenix just hasn't stepped up. I think on paper that's where the better series is kind of going to lie in a sense, but we haven't gotten that yet through 2 games. And I think a lot of people, general consensus, really want that Sixers Celtics to be the better series, but Knicks, Heat, Knicks, however you want to classify it, I think I'll go ahead and say it. I think this is by far the best playoff series that we've had in a number of years.
Wow.
It really has. I mean,
I wish Jimmy Butler was out there.
Well, Saturday he will be.
Julius Randle's out there game 1.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. Neither team, really, to be fair, is exactly 100% no matter what here throughout this series.
Hero.
Right. I mean, Hero's out for the Heat. Jimmy's obviously banged up. I mean, there are a number of players on the Heat kind of just banged up right now, but same thing with the Knicks. Not like the Knicks are exactly out here playing at 100% either, to be honest. I'm willing to bet if push came to shove, they probably would have preferred to set Randle, in all honesty, for example, last night.
If they weren't down.
Right. And you could maybe make the case that they probably wanted to do the same with Brunson, to be honest, just as a safe play. But
it's nice they're off till Saturday.
Right, and that's the beauty of it, and it'll help get everybody kind of closer back to 100%. But if we're getting these first 2 games off the bat where neither team is clearly at 100%, then could you imagine it hypothetically at 100%? Because it would be, it'd be off the chain. It'd be crazy.
Well, first I just got to ask you, what are your thoughts on the first ever NBA second round in the history of the NBA playoffs to have each of the 8 seeds in it? Did you know that?
No, wait, advance?
A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 7, and an 8 are all.
Okay, the second portion of that I didn't know. I didn't know that both 8 seeds for the first time ever got through, though. Is that what you're saying?
No. Each seed
Okay.
moved on to the next round. Just one of each.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Really? Okay.
First time.
Okay, I do remember hearing that now that you mention
It's the
that.
first time we ever had a 1 versus 4, a 6 versus 7, a 2 versus 3, and a 5 versus 8 in the same playoffs.
How about that, though?
Well, I guess you could have had it the other way around, but to have one each seed move on is what I'm trying to say. That's pretty cool. So, anyway, about this series, Heat versus Knicks. This series could go deep. I think it goes 6-7. But it wouldn't shock me if it went 5. I mean, I could see the Heat winning these next 2 games and then take the one in New York. But I could also see the Knicks winning these next 2 games and taking the game in New York. I could see this series going 5 if someone finds control here in Miami. Because not to hate on the Heat, but their fan base is not the most loyal fan base. There will be a lot of Knicks fans down in Miami.
You know, Nick, I'm happy you brought up loyalty of a fan base when the final 3 minutes at the Garden in Game 1, it sure sounded like a Heat game to me with the "Let's Go Heat" chants as all the Knicks fans made an early exit out to the
those Knicks fans
streets.
are Yankee fans, and you know it.
Well, a lot of them are one and the same.
It's
So.
the same ones that spit on Trae Young and threw trash at Miles Straw.
Oh, but you loved it when that happened, though.
I did not. I love either way, but
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
I think this is definitely going to be a better series than Sixers Celtics. I don't know how about you. I personally think the Celtics they're done. They got the drama with Jaylen Brown. You don't even want to be there. They've been playing not great basketball. I mean, they beat the Hawks in 6. The Hawks, who can't play a lick of defense. I don't know. That Joel Embiid just won MVP. They're confident, the Sixers. A lot of pressure on the Sixers because they've been known as a playoff choking team. I just think they're personally a better team than the Celtics. The whole Jaylen Brown thing, I think, is the big reason. And I wouldn't be surprised. They win this game tonight. Wouldn't be surprised if they finish it in Philly. Sweep them.
I don't think that series goes to a sweep. I think it goes 7. And a lot of it is because, to me, both teams have a knack of. It's kind of something you brought up more, I think, with the Sixers. But like the Celtics have been under the radar with this all year, and I think I probably wouldn't notice if it wasn't for the fact that like my dad's a Celtic fan, so I see a lot of Celtic basketball throughout the year, for better or worse. And both teams do a lot of what I enjoy calling it, who wants to lose the game the most when it matters most. You kind of look at it, even in Game 1, I know the Sixers won, but like P.J. Tucker, for example, I know he got a lot of the finger point, but there was like a group of 2 or 3 Sixers that's at the free throw line watching Tatum go through the lane, where it's like, what are we doing here? But the big X factor to me, and this is where I definitely do see, like the Sixers winning the series just in general, the fact that Embiid's back. Obviously coming off the MVP, announcement last night, but, all indications, including from him, are pointing that he will be playing tonight, on Wednesday. Boston just doesn't really have anybody that can keep up with that in terms of consistently on the floor with him. Like Horford, to me, could go toe-to-toe with him, say, offensively, right? But Embiid's a better offensive player, just is. Robert Williams could probably go toe-to-toe with him on defense, but, Embiid I think is just the better version of him in that sense. It's going to be tough to do that. The Jaylen Brown thing, it's kind of been there all year, so I don't know if I necessarily buy it anymore at this point in a way. It's interesting because I think both teams kind of have like a toss-up. They're pretty even bench-wise. To me, you have to say like the Celtics with, Brogdon, who, better or worse, 6th man of the year, or, better or worse, at least in contention with it. The Sixers, their bench has never done much to me in this recent history era for them.
Yeah.
whether, and look, now they have a couple guys like kind of whether it's in starting roles or near starting roles with say Melton or Maxey, who I've never been overly like impressed with them in that sense. You know what I mean? But to that end, it's not like you get outside of really like the Sixers or the Celtics, like I said with Brogdon. It's not like anybody really does that for me either. Especially a guy like Grant Williams. Like you want to talk about a guy I love to hate. I mean, right there's one of them. But, and then on the bench, I mean, I don't. It's tough to go against Doc, but to me, Doc is the better of two evils that kind of involve a guy like Budenholzer in a way. And I think Doc is a better coach than, say, Budenholzer, but they're kind of cut from the same cloth, I'd say, in terms of, boy, they're really good coaches for, like, the first 3 quarters of a game. That series, to me, I don't think it sweeps. I see that, like I said, I think it goes 7 just for the fact that they're just going to start having, like, a rock fight between each other.
But the whole point I brought up the Sixers Celtics was I think the Heat and Knicks series is going to go farther.
It could.
It all depends what the Celtics do tonight.
Yeah.
If the Sixers win tonight, I'll be honest with you, Paul. I just don't think they're going back to Boston. I don't.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time believing that the Celtics would get more or less blow it, to be honest. But I mean, the way the playoffs have kind of gone this year, it's pretty apparent, And I don't want to toot the own horn here a little bit, but it's like, Miami's like the most non-eighth seed of all time in a way.
No eighth seed. They're not
right.
Eighth seed.
The Knicks, who I think some people probably thought were more of a regular season team. They clearly aren't. They're kind of ready for, at very least, they're ready for the conference semifinal stage.
I think that's mostly because of Jalen Brunson, who just played the one.
Right. Yeah, and I could, if you look at it from like the actual basketball perspective of things, it really should be reversed. Where we're talking about Knicks Heat should be the one going 7 because it's just such a, at least in this case, bloodbath meets just two very good defensive teams at the end of the day. I know like in the regular season.
They're a more mature Cavs team, both of
them. Well, the Cavs have a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but they have problems that I think we all should have kind of have seen and we kind of, I think, put to the back burner given what they were doing in the regular season.
They're young.
Well, are they any younger than, say, the Knicks or the Heat or the Celtics? Not really. Like, Mitchell came in with the Tatums and the Browns. He came in with the Randalls. Came in with the Brunsons, like, in that time frame. I think the Cavs' main issue was just from a team-built perspective. And I hate it because I love both these guys, but Mobley or Jared Allen are probably, one of them is going to probably be not a Cav next year, and it's more than likely going to be Jared Allen.
Yeah.
I don't mind the idea of going 2 bigs down low, but when it's 2 tall guys down low, we saw what happened there. Randall was able to have his day with 1, in a sense, whereas Mitchell was able to just kind of, and Mitchell's such a, you want to talk about really a tall guy that kind of morphed into a big guy here within the postseason. Mitchell's got to be tired as hell at this point, but that's a different discussion. Yeah, I think the Cavs' main issue was this kind of team built wise. Like, they're built for the regular season, not the playoffs in that sense, But either way, looking west, I mean, we kind of alluded to it a little bit already in a way, but like, Phoenix is just, again, this should be the second best series in the playoffs. It's just not going to be the way it looks. Chris Paul's out. We're looking at least through, the next 2 games, more than likely 3 games at minimum. And the Nuggets just look, whether they start slow or they just start off quick. I mean,
I'm slowly become more of a Nuggets believer.
Right. I mean, this year looks like once they find that cruise control point, like, they just go. And, I think this Phoenix team is still good. I don't think, this season exactly went according to plan. I don't think they fully intended on pursuing Kevin Durant in that sense. You look at it, I almost preferred the team where it was just more of a balanced attack, where it was, you had Bridges out there with, and I'm not saying Durant's obviously the better player, but Bridges didn't need the ball in his hand as much. And KD does a lot off the ball that I don't think a lot of people really realize, but with Chris Paul hurt, I think it's really, again, kind of exposing maybe someone we should have been more high on with Devin Booker just not maybe being as good as we thought in that sense. I tweeted it, and I stand by it, and I know a lot of people probably, when they hear this, might kind of be like, what does he even mean by that? But, like, Devin Booker is just kind of like the Karl Anthony Towns of guards. Like, at what point are we just going to be like, he just is what he is? And that's not a knock on the guy, but, like, maybe he's just at his potential, and that's it, and he could still be a max contract guy somewhere, but maybe he isn't the next Chris Paul in this case, right? And, like Karl Anthony Towns, we're just kind of all expecting him to, say, follow the path of Anthony Davis to a degree, but even then, like, Anthony Davis probably has never reached whatever actual potential he should have been at. But, even then, Anthony Davis is worlds ahead of Karl Anthony Towns, in my opinion. So it just kind of sucks the way that series, I think, is going to formally play out. I don't know if there's a sweep. I think Phoenix is just too good of a team still to maybe allow for that to happen. But, I mean, I'd see it more than likely being like a gentleman's sweep, 4-1 Nuggets, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's on today. As of today, it's looking like it could be a Jokic Embiid final.
It's kind of wild.
It would be nice to see.
Yeah.
Obviously, neither one of us want to see that. We want to see the winner of our matchup going to represent the Eastern Conference, but it would be interesting to see, because who would have thought Sixers Nuggets would be the NBA championship? So yeah, it's just like, you have the Lakers up 1-0 right now, and there's still a lot of series left in that. I mean, wouldn't be surprised Warriors come back and win that series in like 6 games still, but it's not like the old NBA where the superstars always they have Kevin Durant. They're just not going to lose this series. Oh, they have LeBron James. They're just not going to lose this series. We're not into that anymore. I don't think. And I just think Denver's the better team, and they're the better team on paper, and they're showing it the better team on the floor. And the Suns are just, you can't win. I just think that the league has gotten so much better. You just can't win by adding a Kevin Durant on your team. You have to have other players. They trade away all the role players for this, man. And their bench is just, you're saying the whole team's not that great. I'm saying the bench is just dreadful, and second units are just killing them, and it's a team game, and they're just not a good team. Right. They're good. They're going to make obviously they're in the second round because they have guys like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Chris Paul. But now you don't have Chris Paul. I don't know.
I mean, that's what I mean. It's like,
I wouldn't be surprised, like you said, if Nuggets win this in 5.
Right, but that's what I mean, where it's like, oh, congrats, you have, the Curry in-law and Damian Lee. Like, that's all fine and well, but, like, you look at that bench and, like, campaign, like,
it's not good.
It's literally like 3 of the guys that are getting meaningful minutes were playing in China, like, a handful of years ago. And that's not a knock. Like, I don't want to be disparaging in that sense, but it's like,
you're not going to win NBA.
No. I mean, and far be it from me, right? Especially me, with my team in the Heat being just out here with 6 undrafted guys, getting meaningful minutes and stuff like that. But it's pretty clear that whatever cohesion is working well for the Heat, the Suns don't have. And you can make that case, right? Like I go back to it too, to a degree. You look at the teams where it's working well, like the Knicks bench, like their cohesion's going well enough that when they're on the floor together, there's at least something going on, right? Same with the Nuggets, same with, like, to a degree, the Lakers and the Warriors. even like the Sixers, even though I just like trash the Sixers, like even their bench has like that cohesion. Like when they're on the floor, there's something going on. You can't say that about the Suns. Like it's just, it's just. I wouldn't say they're clueless out there, but it's like neat. We're out here. We're in the NBA playoffs. Like good fun.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I absolutely hate the Sixers.
Right.
That
makes two of us.
I'm not a huge Celtics fan, but I might hate the Sixers more. And but I just think they're the better team right now, and than the Celtics.
Mhm.
I think they're the favorites to come out of the East. I think it's going to be the Heat or the Knicks winner is going to have to prove it. Either whether it's the Celtics or the Sixers, I think it's going to be the Sixers. But the Nuggets, we got to realize they got the best player in the NBA.
Thank you.
The best player in the NBA. I don't know. People just get all surprised because it's the Nuggets and they've never won anything.
Bomani Jones brought up that point.
But they have Nikola Jokic on their team.
Yeah, I mean, Bomani Jones brought that up, I think, on Monday, where it's like, the Nuggets in nobody's lifetime has ever been a championship contender. But, like, here they are. It's kind of wild to think about.
And they got a great coach, underrated coach.
Oh, Malone's great. Yeah.
I know he's been on the hot seat because of his playoff chokes. But Jamal Murray's healthy.
Yeah.
He's underrated.
Porter's healthy.
Porter's healthy.
You want to know who's a really good player on that
Gordon's
team? That's who I was going to say.
Yes, Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
He's underrated too.
Yeah.
A lot of underrated players on that team. That's why they're an underrated team.
Right.
And it sucks because they're the number one seed. They've dominated the regular season, and I don't know, and they're proving it.
But for them, too, you want to talk about bench. Their bench is led more or less by Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who you can say what you want about the guy, but he's been around championship teams, been around playoff contending run teams, right, with the Clippers and Lakers especially most recently. I mean, I know he started in Detroit, but like you look at those two LA teams don't have a guy like him on the team for no reason. You know, Bruce Brown, for what it's worth, again, another guy where you can say you kind of want about him maybe as a player, but he's been around at least with the Nets where we're making these playoff runs, and, you know, he's been around whatever you want to say about him. He's been around Harden, Durant, Simmons, Irving, that, you know, he knows what he's got to, he knows what you have to do in these situations. And I think that's huge when you look at, you know, if you want to go back and, like, you know, whether it's like even like further back to like the mid-2000s in a way where, you know, the Spurs are still churning out like Robert Horry, but it's important to have guys like that on your team who like have been there, they know what to do, they aren't going to lose you a game necessarily, right? And you can go all the way through. You look at teams like, say, like the Knicks when Melo and Stoudemire were the two that they brought in to kind of lead that charge, right? And people kind of chuckled at like, well, why do you have Jason Kidd and Tyson Chandler out there? Well, because they know what they're doing out there. You know, when the Heat obviously had LeBron and Wade and Bosh, you know, they didn't bring in a guy like Mike Miller and Shane Battier to just have them out there, because they know what they have to do out there. You know, so on and so forth. You know, that's why Iguodala now has this NBA Hall of Fame resume. You know, you look at these good teams throughout the years, they have these guys who just know what they have to do.
Those Heat teams were loaded.
Well, right, but what I'm getting at here is the Nuggets have those guys who they know what they got to do at this point. They know how it kind of operates at this time and space, that they won't lose you these games. Just plain and simple. But I don't know. I don't know, and obviously, you know, at this time next week, you know, when we reconvene and have...
We'll still be talking about the second round.
Right, we'll still be talking about the second round. Maybe the page gets turned on a couple series to the, you know, the conference final, but, you know, that's a bit on the doubtful end of things. So
where do you think we'll be in a week? What will these series be?
I think the Nuggets Suns one, I think it will be the only one that's done.
Do you think it'll be done?
To be honest,
It probably will be done. It'll be close. I'm not sure when these teams play, but
they play.
What are your thoughts on
They go Friday, Sunday.
What are your thoughts?
I think.
Thoughts on the 3-day rest to get to Miami? Were they walking there?
Everybody's got that 3-day rest. I think it's just TV window, right? I mean, we always talk about how it's whatever, but yeah, this time of year, well, yeah, but it's, you got the TV windows you have to kind of work in and out of and stuff like that. I chuckled because like Knicks Heat, for example, already has the 2 games in, and they get 2 games fully done by the time that the Lakers and Warriors have 1 game fully done. It was just weird though in the moment too. Like Sunday, for example, game 1 of Knicks Heat, it was game 7 for Kings Warriors
After
in the first, so it was just one of those like catch you off guard
and the
moments.
Suns played the other day. Sun Nuggets played the day before too.
Right? Yeah. So, just
TD.
strange
It's
times.
going to be a great game on Saturday though. Saturday afternoon, Knicks Heat game 3.
So the beauty about moments like this, Nick, is where usually I'm able to completely change over everything very easily and deal with everything pretty easily, but we have no internet connection to the tablet right now. So I'm unable to completely change everything over here as we transition over to baseball. So, or
You
vastly...
can't put it on me and you walk over and do it real quick?
I can't... Well, I mean, I could go over there and put it on you, but I can't do it from the tablet.
So I can't go on the screen right now.
No, you can't. Unfortunately not. No. Nor can I change the lower third for us. So, it may be one of those things where after I tee this off, I just run over there quick and kind of adjust here on the fly. But baseball, obviously, we're a month ahead at this point. A lot of different surprises. It's feel-good stuff, maybe not so much feel-good stuff, depending upon what team you might be. Here's looking at you poor Oakland A fans, no matter where you might be, unfortunately. I want to start here, though, because, Nick, happy times are here. In the Berg.
Yeah.
In the
we
Berg.
talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Disappointing. They lost 2 in a row last night for the first time
That'll happen.
since the first series. I mean, goal is to win the series, but it sucks we lost the first one to the Rays. Tampa Bay's a good team, but are they a great team? They're a great team, but are they a spectacular team? I don't think so. And I mean, it's cool that who would have thought Pirates Rays in the start of May would be playing with the 2 best records in the MLB. It will not be the case tonight because the Orioles have the 2nd best record in the MLB right now. Who would have thought the Rays, Orioles, and Pirates would have the 3 best record team? Well, the Braves are tied with the Pirates, but who cares about the Braves? No one likes the Braves. But obviously, Pirates making some noise, still in first place. The bright spot about losing yesterday was that the whole division lost as well. So disappointed we could have gained some ground, but man, I'm just taking it all in that we are 10 games better than the St. Louis Cardinals right now.
Yeah.
Taking it all. A team that has owned us for years. We haven't been better than the Cardinals since 1999.
Well, I don't want to be that guy, but this is the best that the Pirates have been since '92.
Yes.
Out of the gate. Out of the gate, right.
I always remember because when they were good, I was in college, and I would miss the first few
Same.
months of the season because of college. I wouldn't be home and to watch every game like I usually do until June or May, when I get out in May. And they were slow starters. Those teams, McCutchen was a slow starter. Once McCutchen got going, the team started to get going. Maybe because McCutchen's off to a good start. He slumped a little bit of late, but he was off to a good start. Maybe that's why they're winning early. But anyway, those 3 years that they made the playoffs, wild card team for 3 straight years, they started off slow. They didn't get hot till the summer. So this is why they're off to their best start since '92 and not 2015 when they won 98 games and was the 2nd best team and lost in a 1-game playoff.
Yeah, the tablet lost their net connection. Nick, I apologize.
And we lost in a 1-game playoff after winning 98 games. Anyway, you start talking. I'm pissed.
Yeah, I apologize. I apologize to the viewers anyway portion of this. Here's what I find the most kind of fascinating, and we'll touch on a bunch of different things. It's I wouldn't say the return, not even return. Kind of making a Star Wars thing here as we're on the footsteps of May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
But like the Rays got off to this hot start, and we already know about their deal and stuff like that. Pittsburgh obviously is off to a really good start. You look at a team, Minnesota and Cleveland, both kind of in the spots we kind of expect them to be, stuff like that. But kind of these small to mid-market teams are having some really good collective starts to the year.
We can't overreact because we've seen teams
right
collapse after a solid start.
I still got nothing. I apologize.
Hey, they can hear me though.
Right. You good?
Yeah.
All right. But you look at the Rays, and they're always in contention at this point, right? It's tough to kind of go out and say, well, we outright expect this. Nobody expects to go out and win the first 13 games of the year, first 2 weeks of the year. That's not how baseball works. More or less.
With 162
right. Yeah, it's just not how that operates. So, what are we fully doing here? I don't know. What I find to be kind of interesting as well within all of this is, and we will touch on this, I think, now, because I know you alluded to it a little bit here off air, Nick, and I know you honed in on one specific rule of it, the new rules, but I think a lot of it has to do with the new rule implication. It kind of has brought, I think, a lot of the field kind of closer together. And it's kind of funny because I brought up the fact that, way early on in this, whether it was on here or just off air talking with people, you're going to see a lot of, the younger players, they aren't going to have to adjust. They've been dealing with this for a while in the minor leagues. And it's clear that these teams that have these good pipelines are the ones kind of, I'd say, controlling it at least here early on while other teams are kind of adapting, right? Pittsburgh, right? Super young team collectively, overall. I know they have McCutchen, Carlos Santana, Rich Hill.
Very young guy.
But, collectively, though, elsewhere, you look throughout the rest of that team, whether it's a guy, say, now he's hurt, obviously, but he started the year off with O'Neal Cruz. But you look else throughout, right? Brian Hayes, Jack Sawinski, guys like that Connor Joe, who, look, they only have maybe a collective handful of years of service time in the MLB together. Where have they spent the rest of the stuff? In the minors, where they're dealing with this year in and year out.
Jumanji.
Jumanji.
Drew Maggi.
Oh, well, maybe we found the true outlier here more than anything else. But I think it's
Maggie is his name.
I think it's these teams that have been able to really expose and do the. I've always thought it was Maggie either way, but who can do right? Like Cleveland's kind of leading. Cleveland and Baltimore are leading the stolen bases renaissance again right now, and there's a reason for that, right? They have a bunch of guys who are just really athletic as hell and know they can get these jumps. And while I still sit on the thing of 3 inches one way is not going to make all that much difference, it clearly is panning out to maybe be making more of a difference than a lot of people probably thought. And I think the new rules collectively, and I was maybe opponent of maybe some of them a few years ago, but at this point now, what a difference it's made for the game. I mean, the game's at a faster pace. It's been a lot more fun to watch. Everything is looking good and positive for the most part with baseball, because there have been a couple black eyes so far this season. And, if we have a couple extra minutes here, we can maybe talk about them a little bit. I mentioned Oakland, and that's perhaps the most glaring one. But
they're a big fan of possums?
What a start to the MLB season. I don't think they could have asked for a better first month of the season.
No. I'm back.
Yes.
We got Wi-Fi.
Yes, we do.
Going in, so here's the thing. Right now, I love all the rules, new rules. Going in, my favorite new rule was going to be the shift. I wanted to get rid of the shift. I hated the shift. Get ya frickin' shortstop on a right field. But anyway, that was one. I love it today. Got rid of it. The averages are up because of it. I love that. That was my number one going into the season. Since spring training, I've loved the pitch clock. Pitch clock's awesome. Quicker games. And they're not super quick. I mean, 2.5 hours. They're like an NBA, NHL game now. So I love that. But the one I'm enjoying the most right now today, Paul, is the bigger bases. And especially as a Pirates fan who is stealing the most out of everybody going into this week, probably still today. There's a lot more steals. People are stealing bases again. People are getting base knocks, moving the guy over. Fundamentals of the game. The bigger bases is the reason for that. If it keeps going up, people not throwing anybody out, though, I'm a little concerned what they're going to do. Maybe move the bases, second and third base. I'm surprised they increased second and third base because there's just not a lot of injuries. I mean, there's injuries everywhere. You can get injured anywhere. I'm surprised. I thought they were just going to do it for first, and then they did it for second and third as well. They might have to do that because of the whole stealing thing. Might have to bring them back to normal or something because people are stealing. Because you don't realize that inch and a half that they added on those bases are huge. That is when people get thrown out by an inch and a half back in the day, was that inch and a half. And now you're touching the base.
You're right.
So steals are way up because of it. It's a safer game. Obviously, first base. They should never change first base. But
Wow.
I think they should have the safety bag there.
No, I was about to say, I'm.
Softball one.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, I am a proponent of the safety bag.
Was it embarrassing to have?
Look, I've
So safe.
I played first, and I've had my fair share of spikes and collisions, and I know like part of the base thing was to like concussions. They were kind of saying, I'm telling you, like, you want to eliminate a few of them probably a year. That's one way you can do it, and nobody's gonna bat an eye.
It's probably like bumpers in professional bowling. It's just embarrassing.
I'd beg to differ.
Imagine professional bowling with bumpers. I don't even think they need the bumpers. For me, I need the bumpers.
Yeah. I'm with you.
But anyway, it might be just an embarrassing factor because they don't want to be slow pitch 40-year-old men softball league. It's the major leagues. But it's safe. It's proven to be safe. You're not going to have any collisions at first base when the guys run on foul territory. I don't know.
I'm with you.
I think they should have it. We'll see. The problem with all these rule changes in any sport, the biggest problem with it is we need somebody to get hurt for these rules to change.
Right.
We have one guy that needs to go down, torn ACL, poor
Where's
guy.
Buster Posey when we need him?
Seriously, Buster Posey, perfect example. Gets hurt at home plate, then
Right.
we have the don't block the plate rule comes out. We have Armando Galarraga lose a perfect game, then the replay comes out. Someone is always
We need a victim.
a victim takes the negative effect of this rule change. And why do we need that? Just go to the safety of the bag. Why do we need someone to get hurt at first base?
I hear you.
Happen.
I agree.
And you know what's going to happen. Someone's going to get hurt at first base, whether it's not this year or next year, whenever it happens, that's when you'll see the bag.
Agreed. I agree with you there. So, all right, that will take care of Fresh Takes for today. Appreciate everybody for listening and tuning in, as always. Apologize as we work our way through the technology stuff of things here in our
Yeah.
ever-changing landscape.
Some troubles in the last 2 weeks.
Nick, who are you shouting out today?
I'm shouting out a belated birthday today.
Oh.
My Uncle George,
Late Uncle George birthday.
Jack's dad, Sheila's husband, my uncle, Uncle George. Birthday was yesterday. Yesterday. Not sure how old he is, but
29.
29. But he is a Packers fan. I texted him. I told him,
Go Jets. Jets.
let's go Rogerless Packers. He says he's still a fan of the Packers. I respect it. Love it.
Gotta be.
I'm excited for the Jordan Love era, but happy belated birthday, Uncle George, and shout out.
Yeah, appreciate that. Uncle George, I know he's... Uncle George, good guy. Good guy. See him at Bocce every year. I know my dad actually ran into him a few weeks ago, if I remember right. Can't remember where. Where would they have all been together?
Softball?
No. Can't remember. Oh! At your cousin Johnny, his daughter's birthday. Yep. That's right, yeah, so...
Nice.
I had to think there, the thought process, and
Shout out Jack.
Yes, shout out Jack. I haven't seen him in a while. One of these days, I need to run into him out in the poker room, I think.
Oh, he'll be there.
So, All right, we'll talk with everybody again next week. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Watch live on YouTube. Watch live, catch up there. Spotify, all the fun stuff. And we'll talk with everybody again next week.